Great crowd. It's going to be a great day. Are you ready for an exciting start to a great day? I hope so. Yeah. We've got what it takes, and one of the industry's top retail leaders, Mr. Bernie Marcus. As chairman of the Home Depot, Bernie is recognized as a giant among industry executives. He and his company have thrived while many of his detractors have fallen by the wayside. While others just talk the talk, he has walked the walk of retail success. That philosophy has brought him from the founding of the Home Depot in '78 with one store and problems in meeting his payroll and paying his monthly bills to 444 stores in 33 states and 3 Canadian provinces. Last year, Home Depot had sales of about $15.5 billion, representing some 12% of the total hardware and home improvement market. Now, I must tell you that when we announced Bernie would be our guest speaker here this morning, the acceptance was not unanimous. A few of our dealers had questions, direct questions like, are you guys in Oak Brook a little crazy or what? But those comments were very, very few, and I'm happy to say that our dealers really have opened their minds to the opportunity of learning something here which might help them be even more effective in their own marketplaces back home. And because of the competitiveness of Home Depot, your corporation has become much better and much stronger. So have those of you who have raised the bar and implemented and executed the details of retail. Our retail position is one of service and convenience, and you've exploited that fact. And that's the reality of retailing in the '90s. It's not going to get any easier. The bar certainly keeps on being raised. To questions like, can Ace continue to prosper with competitors like the Home Depot spreading across the country, Bernie Marcus says, these hardware stores run by the proprietor are going to be there forever. Well, before co-founding Home Depot, Bernie was chairman and president of Handy Dan Home Improvement Centers for 6 years and vice president of hard goods merchandising at Vornado, Inc. for 10 years. He's a native of Newark, New Jersey, with a Bachelor of Science degree in pharmacy from Rutgers University. He's also a member of various boards of directors, including Wachovia Bank, National Service Industries, the New York Stock Exchange, and Shepherd Spinal Center in Atlanta. Bernie also serves on the Board of Advisors for the City of Hope, which is the hardware home improvement industry's charity of choice. He's a very busy man with a lot of varied challenges. So please join me in a warm Ace welcome for our special guest this morning, Chairman and CEO of the Home Depot, Bernie Marcus.
I want you to look at the shirt. Would you believe it? We need to have some pictures. Yes, we're going to. I may never be able to go home again. Nobody in the world would believe this. We had a meeting yesterday with some of our officers, and we were having this strategy meeting, and they're doing some stuff today, and they asked whether or not I was going to be there, and I said, no, I'm going to be in Dallas. I have something to do. And they said, what are you doing? And I said, I'm speaking at the Ace Hardware Convention. And they suggested lots of things. They were including drugs. They're concerned about Alzheimer's. But we managed to, it's good to be here. And I'm happy to share with you the story of the Home Depot. Really, it's a story of 3 miracles. At the same time, I'm going to collect on the bets that I have, and lots of people bet I wouldn't come. So whatever happens, I'm going to end up making $1,000 for having the guts to show up here at the Ace Hardware if I get out alive. The first of the 3 miracles that I like to talk about is the creation and growth of the Home Depot. And the question is, why would you Ace dealers, why would you be interested in the company I work for? Because many of you, frankly, I think are interested because you're entrepreneurs. And frankly, what has grown at the Home Depot came about because we're entrepreneurs as well. And when you hear an insider's view of our history, you'll know that the Home Depot story is truly a miracle. Also, I think you'll be able to relate well to the many challenges we face. The miracle number two is the industry we're part of, the home improvement hardware industry. We are indeed fortunate to be part of this very important segment of the American industry, where we can help their customers make their own miracles. And finally, we're going to talk about the third miracle, and that is the miracles that are happening at the City of Hope. As most of you know and you heard about, I think that, David, you said it, David is going to be the honoree in receiving the City of Hope's most prestigious award, and that's the Spirit of Life Award. Okay? David. And a little aside, so that you all understand this, we've been trying to get David for the last 3 years to become part of the City of Hope and to join us as the honoree. And 3 years ago, David said, I will do it on one basis, and that is that Bernie comes to Atlanta, to wherever the convention is, and makes a speech at the convention. For 2 years, I said, you're out of your mind. Last year, we decided we really wanted to have you, David. We think that you're important to the City of Hope. So the reason I'm really here today was a deal. And I didn't even get dating on that deal. All right, let's get on to business. The Home Depot is a real miracle story, and it's truly one that can only happen in America. You know, some in our society today think it's fashionable to run down our country, and I was so happy to see that you opened this program with the Star Spangled Banner. This is truly a great country, and there are many people who complain and do lots of things to destroy what has made America great. And frankly, things like what has happened to us, where else can job creation and entrepreneurship be rewarded the way it is other than the United States? Is there another place in the world that you know of? I don't think so. As a son of Russian immigrants who grew up on the wrong side of the tracks in Newark, New Jersey, I know full well the other side of success. Both my partner, Arthur Blank, and I came from similar backgrounds. Much of what we experienced early in life is reflected in the culture we've tried to instill at the Home Depot. Another part of the Home Depot culture originates from our professional lives. In 1978, I was chairman of the board of Handy Dan Home Improvement Centers. At that time, it was one of the strongest companies in our industry. We were growing at a rapid pace. We were making money, but unfortunately, we were taken over by another company. The new CEO and I did not get along. When he fired me, he told me, Bernie, you're a guy who can never make it. The name of that person, who is really the true founder of the Home Depot, was Sandy Sigaloff, S-I-G-A-L-O-F-F. I like to give him credit wherever I go in America. If it wasn't for him, would I be here today? No. And he was a really nice fella. He was so nice that he referred to himself, by the way, truthfully, this is in papers and had signs up, he called himself Ming the Merciless. Okay. In addition to firing me, he also fired Arthur Blank, my chief financial officer, and our controller, Ron Brill. Now, get the picture. I'm 49 years old. I didn't have much money. I had an ex-wife, a mother I was supporting, kids I was sending through college. I had all the problems that all of us have had one time or another. And to be fired seemed as bad as it could get. When this happened, I called an investor friend of mine, Ken Langone. Kenny is probably the brightest, most honest human being I've ever met in my life. I was absolutely despondent. I was forlorn. I was frustrated because I couldn't believe that anyone would fire a person who was making as much money as I was making for that company. Ken viewed the situation just a little bit differently, and his reaction was, my God, Bernie, you've just been hit in the ass with a golden horseshoe. What a phenomenal day this is. Honestly, those are the words that he used. I thought the man was crazy. You have to understand, I was so despondent at that time. But Ken went on, and he went on to discuss a store that I had discussed with him several years earlier. It was a store I said was a store of the future, and one I couldn't implement at Handy Dan because we had been so far along in the way. And Kenny said, let's go out and build those stores. We raised $2 million in financing to open 4 stores. We found 4 pieces of property in Atlanta. Each was roughly 60,000 square feet. Imagine putting $3.5 to $4 million in inventory in each store. And then you have $8 million in payroll, you have overhead, 240,000 square feet in 4 locations. The numbers just don't work, not with $2 million in equity. So what do? Well, get a bank loan, we said. So fearlessly, we began to trudge from bank to bank trying to raise money. We couldn't raise $5 anywhere. We went to banks in New York, Atlanta, Boston, Chicago, and here in Dallas, one of our investors was a principal of a Dallas bank, and even they wouldn't give us any money. Of course, we were mindless of the fact that banks only lend money to those who can afford it. Now, you've all heard that, haven't you? If you got it, they'll give it to you. If you don't got it, they're not interested in you. In retrospect, we finally recall that all these banks missed out on the miracle that was the Home Depot. Today, I serve on the board of one of these banks. Now, frankly, this is a bank that wouldn't even give me money for a mortgage on my house. So I'm on this board just to aggravate them. Okay? And I do. I drive them crazy. And I'm on a loan committee, and every time they turn a loan down, I want to know why. And I try to remind them about it. The one banker who finally recognized the miracle that could become the Home Depot had faith in the concept, and an author on in me. But too often banks, companies, and people make decisions and investments just based on the numbers that come up on a computer. It's getting worse, it's not getting better. I would rather invest in people than the information I get on a computer handout. Today, computers, which are a valuable tool and as a reference tool, are being used too often as the unchallenged gospel. Hopefully in our futures, there'll be more bankers who use their hearts as well as their financial models. I don't know that that's going to happen in America. Unfortunately, the bank laws themselves, the Federal Reserve, and the controls that they have are not making it easy for the banks. Being on the board, I now understand that it's tightened up to a point that the government has made it difficult for bankers to loan money where they'd like to. So we do have other resources, and that's where the investment community comes in. But getting back to our story, I think that our treatment by Sandy, as well as the bankers, was really instrumental in the development of the Home Depot philosophy. While growing up, my mother taught me that what goes around comes around. And if you treat people well, the way they want to be treated, it comes back, and it always does. And treating people well is the rule that we use in dealing with our customers and one another. Our first years at the Home Depot were very, very, very lean. Out of the $2 million of equity, we lost $1 million the first year. Things were equally as hectic during the second year. And suddenly, one day, we knew that we made it. I remember I was in one of the Atlanta stores, and a customer came up to me, and he was talking very Southern. Now, when I say talking Southern, I don't mean to be deprecating anything, but having come from California and New Jersey, I didn't quite understand the accent. And I had great difficulty understanding what this man was saying, except that I understood one thing, and that was that he had driven over 2 hours. He came from a place called Macon, Georgia, to come to our new Home Depot store. And he pointed out that his cousin had sent him, and his cousin lived over 3 hours away from Atlanta. All of a sudden, Arthur and I realized that people were coming from all over Georgia to shop at the Home Depot. And that was the day we began to believe that the miracle was possible. Now you ask, why did that happen? Part of the reason was what we learned working every day on the floor of our new stores. Arthur and I waited on customers day and night. We listened, we learned, and we began to understand the needs of our customers. Since we did the buying as well, we would apply what we learned from our customers when we talked to vendors after the stores closed. We worked and we worried 7 days a week, but we were learning every minute of every day. What we learned was that while advertising may be important, word of mouth is much more important. We also learned an important thing about human nature. We discovered that people are basically terrific. The people we were dealing with had problems, and they came to Home Depot looking for solutions. Remember, everybody that comes into stores like the Home Depot, like your Ace Hardware stores, coming with a problem, they need to fix it. They need to repair it. And the more time and energy we spent on helping our customers, the more customers came to our stores. We saw that the more we gave in service, the more we got back in business. So today, Arthur and I have spent over 17 years communicating with our customers, our employees, our vendors, and audiences like you, well, not quite like you, to try to get everybody to understand how important the customer was and still is in making the miracle that became the Home Depot. Taking care of our customers, that's the greatest challenge facing us at the Home Depot and you as an Ace dealer. Our customers are our future, and they are the basis for the growth in the home improvement hardware industry that I'm going to be talking about in a minute. Bill Loftus, Ace's Senior Vice President, Retail Operations Marketing, spoke to you in October at your Denver convention. He pointed out that the ACE 2000 process was at the midway point. In touching on how competitive the marketplace has become, he used Atlanta as an example. According to Bill's numbers, in 1990, there were 137 stores in Atlanta selling hardware and home improvement products. Today, there are 65 stores in Atlanta selling the same products. The chart Bill used shows that the survivors in the Atlanta market are Ace and Home Depot. But let me give you my perspective on the Atlanta market and what it takes to be a survivor in any competitive market. During Home Depot's early years, as we were trying to grow our business in Atlanta, I was at a meeting at the Cobb County Rotary Club. I asked how many people in the audience do things around the house beyond occasionally painting a room or hanging a shelf. I asked how many people owned a saw, a drill press, some sophisticated kind of equipment. And I don't know, out of 500 people, maybe 7 people raised their hands. Remember, this was 1981. A year ago, in 1985, I was invited back to the same Rotary Club. About the same amount of people were there. And midway through the talk, I stopped and asked the same question. How many of you are serious do-it-yourselfers? Almost every hand in the audience went up. Now think about this a second. It's amazing that we had created a whole group of do-it-yourselfers, people who never did things around their house and now were finding it enjoyable. They're proud of the results that they achieved. They feel good about adding value to their most important investment, which is, of course, their home. Here's a typical scenario. A customer flips a switch, and the ceiling fan, which he's worked on for perhaps a whole weekend, he flips a switch, and the thing turns. This is the first do-it-yourself project he's ever done. It's a miracle. Neighbors come by to see the new baby, and he says, don't look at the baby, look at the ceiling fan. He's proud of it. The reason we are so successful is due to the quality of the people that we have in our stores. Our associates have the patience and the training to sit down and talk to customers, to walk them through the projects and show them how to do it right. Let me tell you one other story about Atlanta. And Bill Loftus, and you're here, Bill, and let me address this to you. A couple of years ago, I was walking the store, and when I walk the store, by the way, I wear an apron, and I was walking around, and one of the customers recognized me, and he came over to me, and perhaps he's in the audience because he was an Ace Hardware dealer in Atlanta shopping our stores. That's because he didn't carry some of the products. Don't get nervous, okay? And he walked up to me and he said, I want to shake your hand and I want to thank you for helping create a business for us. He says, I own an Ace Hardware store. In fact, he owned a couple of Ace Hardware stores. And he said, you have helped make me a wealthy man because you created a desire and you created a demand in this city. And that's what the Home Depot has done in every single market that we're in. We created a demand that was never there. Now think about that a second, and think about our segment of the retail business, because that in itself is unique. High-income folks do their shopping. Let's say you're a wealthy person, you do your shopping at Neiman Marcus, you do it at Saks Fifth Avenue. These people don't buy their clothes at Sears or JCPenney, but everyone, regardless of income, seems to visit their local hardware store or stores like the Home Depot. Remember, there's the only place in the world where you have customers standing in line from all economic levels. The CEO of a trucking firm could be next to the guy who drives his trucks. People who live in trailers and people who live in penthouses shop our stores, because we carry the kind of things that they need for their homes. To be successful in our business is not difficult. All we have to do is listen to our customers, and they tell us what products we need to carry, and if we monitor the activity closely enough, they will even tell us the quantities that we need to have to stay in stock. If those running Home Depots and Aces, failed competitors in Atlanta, had listened to their customers, they would still be in business competing with both of us. But they didn't, and they're not. Now, I know people who have been successful in our line of work in Atlanta. Let me tell you of a friend and how he grew his business in spite of having Home Depots, 5 of them within a 10-mile radius. As the Home Depot grew, his store volume grew as well. His sales increased from $1 million to $3 million annually during a 6-year period, while his profits increased as well. The reason? Not only was he a great businessman, but he also knew how to listen to his customers and give them the kind of outstanding advice that they needed. Indeed, he found his niche in the hardware home improvement industry. I'm often asked if I feel there's a place for independent hardware stores and Home Depots in similar markets. Can we coexist? That's easy. Of course we can. There'll always be a need for a good, well-run local hardware store. Those who are not going to survive in today's marketplace are those who are doing business as usual, going about it the same way as last year and the year before that and the year before that. And David, I'm sure you're referring to it as well. To be successful today, you need to be responsive to a customer who is far busier than the customer we served when we opened the first series of Home Depot stores 17 years ago. Time is money, and these folks are busy and don't have time to shop around forever. And looking at this audience, I know I'm looking at the most successful, the most prosperous, I hope, Ace dealers from around the country, and indeed, in many cases, from around the world. You're the best in the Ace hardware lineup, and because of this, I feel almost as though I'm preaching to the choir. Look at your business and correct your faults, and we have them all. In today's competitive marketplace, those who are bright, intelligent, and resourceful are the ones who will create wealth and opportunity for themselves, their customers, and their families. Now, you've demonstrated that you can succeed in a challenging marketplace. Don't listen to the naysayers. The sky is not falling. Business is good. It's good for us, and it's good for the industry. And ladies and gentlemen, it's going to get better. Miracle number 2, let me talk to you about this industry. And the last observations tie in well with the second miracle I mentioned at the onset. The fact that our companies are blessed to be involved in the home improvement hardware industry. Blessed? Yes, although some of you in the audience may feel it would be a miracle if your business continues to prosper if a Home Depot comes to your area. Yes, blessed, because I am here to suggest to you that you will not only survive, but you will prosper in a healthy business economy. And let me explain what I mean. As I started to put some thoughts together for this talk, I did some background reading. And here's a letter that came across from the mayor of a community where we have, in the past few years, opened a Home Depot store. Mayor Charles Bartlett of Evanston, Illinois, wrote to the leadership of ACE. Now, this is a letter that he wrote. In this day of chain store activity, it has become a very serious question for the individual merchant to continue to do business. Notice the date, April 26th, not so very long ago. It appears at first glance, but in reality, the year of Mayor Bartlett's letter was 1930, 66 years ago. My, how times have not changed. You see, the mayor of Evanston was just as worried about the future of small independent businesses back then as Evanston's city fathers were when we entered the market just a few years ago. I'll say it again. The sky is not falling. Chicken Little and all of his naysayer friends need to go out and get a life. Okay? I feel times have never been better, and that we, and I truly mean us, I'm talking about the Home Depot and Ace, on the verge of getting kicked in the ass by another golden horseshoe. And let's look at why. First, let's look at the industry you know best, and that's the hardware do-it-yourself industry. According to Home Improvement Research Institute, we're part of a growing $134 billion industry. Since 1989, the industry has grown at an annual rate of approximately 4.5%. Going forward to the year 2000, our industry's growth rate is projected to be about 5% compounded annually. Now, few, if any, segments of the American business can grow at that kind of rate. I don't think the auto industry or the clothing industry or any other industry is growing. Remember, 4.5% to 5% compounded growth rate. That is an enormous amount. So what is happening here, the pie is getting bigger. Now, some of you in the audience may feel the Home Depot cannot fit in your markets alongside your Ace dealership. Let's look at the Home Depot's market share growth to the year 2000. This year, based on the sales of Home Depot, with $16 billion, we have an 11.6% market share. And that market share will double again, according to industry estimates, by year 2000 to approximately 22%. And even with Home Depot's phenomenal growth, there's still plenty of room for hardworking competitors. Take a look at where this growth is coming from. The pie charts in the slide show market composition in 1990 and 5 years later. Market share for home centers has increased dramatically from 32% to 48%. But at whose expense? Hardware stores? Maybe a little. Down a point, and if you look at that, only down a point to 14%. But remember that the pie from 1990 to 1995 has become much bigger. So 14% of the volume that's done in 1995 is a lot bigger than the 15% that was done in 1990. The big bite has come from lumber yards, down to 38% share from a dominating 53%. I know some of the Ace dealers are affiliated with lumber yards. It's important that these dealers acknowledge that the home center growth seems to be at the expense of lumber yards. The impact on hardware stores is minimal. From this, we can forecast that hardware store retailing will continue to be a strong market for us in the years to come. And the strongest stores in this group will be the ones with resources, such as Ace backing them up. To me, the biggest competitor for our customers' dollars aren't each other, but rather car dealers and the cruise lines. We need to convince customers that it's more important to invest in their own homes than to spend money sailing the Caribbean or buying a new sports utility. That ain't easy, okay? To remain winners in the marketplace, we need to continue educating our customers. Let me give you a few examples of what we're doing to give the DIYs confidence to tackle bigger projects. First and foremost, we're educating our store associates through product knowledge classes as well as vendor training and support. We just published our own how-to book, Home Improvement 123. Our in-store experts work with Meredith Publications. That's the Better Home and Gardens people. I'm working on text. Our own weekend magazine is aimed at customers who want to do projects on their own. This magazine helps bolster customer confidence while giving our sales associates a frame of reference for timely weekend projects. Lynette Jennings has the top-rated home improvement show on the Discovery Channel, and we're proud about her relationship with her addition to TV. Lynette also does in-store clinics for us. Our plans are in work for her to begin a newspaper column with home improvement ideas. We have begun a quarterly mailing to newspapers on tips for do-it-yourselfers. I feel that these types of publicity benefit not only the Home Depot, but the entire industry. Now, all of this is meant to increase that pie. All these efforts outside the stores are coupled with our outstanding clinics inside our stores, and all are aimed at helping increase customer awareness and confidence on what is doable in home improvements. Now, some economics. Let's talk about the economics. Industry observers like to refer to the Home Depot as a category killer. It's my feeling that we are not killing the category, but again, growing. Walmart, Toys R Us, and Home Depot are all considered category killers. In our case, it is simply not true. First, let's look at the discount store industry. The size of that market for this year is $138 billion. Walmart has 48% market share with $66 billion. A category killer? Yes, in a market that is not growing the way our industry is. Toy stores, a $24 billion industry. Toys R Us does $6.4 billion, or 27% of the business. Is it a category killer? Yes, the market is not growing that much. Our industry, $134 billion, in which Home Depot accounts for $15.5 billion, or only 11.6 of the Home Depot. Remember, are we a category killer? 12% of a $134 billion market? I don't think so. And one that, by the way, they're talking about this industry going to a much larger number. Even with Home Depot's growth forecasted over the next 5 years, there's room for lots of other people to grow. And there are lots of dollars out there for Ace, Sears, and anyone else who wants to and is willing to go the extra mile to win over a new customer too. The only losers will be the retailers who are not efficient and not willing to change. Those who continue to understand their customers, while their customers were providing value, will not only survive but prosper. Let me tell you a story. I love this story. This is a story about a woman who had no children. She had a cat, and she loved this cat. This cat was the most important thing in her life. This cat was her life. And she and her husband took good care of this cat and treated this cat like a little king. And they would never go on vacation because they would not leave the cat in the kennel. They would not give the cat to anybody else. And finally, her brother said to her, "Sis, you've got to go on a vacation. It's not fair. I will take care of your cat. And I promise I'll do all the things that I have to." And she said, "Oh my God." And finally she convinced to go, and she showed them special foods and the vet's number, the day, night, and the night number in case anything happened to this cat. This cat was so important to her. And they went off to Hawaii, and they were having a great time in Hawaii. And all of a sudden, they got a telegram. "Sis, I don't know how to tell you this, but I opened the door, the cat ran outside and was run over by a car." Well, this woman was devastated. She was destroyed. Her life was over, and she mourned. For about 1.5 years, she didn't talk to her brother. And her brother said, "Sis, I'm sorry." And she said, "You don't understand. You should not have done that to me." And he said, "What should I have done?" She said, "Well, what you should have done. We're in Hawaii. You should send me a letter, a telegram." And the telegram should have said, "Dear sis, I don't know how to tell you this, but the cat got out of the house, and the cat is on the roof. We're calling the fire department, and we're going to see if we can get the cat off the roof." Well, I know something's going on. I know that something's bad. I'm kind of anticipating. Well, the next day you send me a telegram and say, "The fire department got up on the roof, they got up on a ladder, they climbed to the top, and as they were reaching for the cat jumped into a tree. But don't worry, sis, we have some tree people coming out, and they're going to try to get the cat." And then the next day, you send me a telegram and say the cat was on a tree, and all of a sudden the cat jumped out on a branch, and we're trying to get the cat off the branch. By now I know something terrible is going to happen. I'm acclimated to it. I can deal with it. And then the last day you say, "Sis, I don't know how to tell you this. As we were reaching for the cat, he jumped off the thing, fell to the ground, and died." He said, "My God," he says, "I never thought about that. I feel very bad about that." And life went on. 3 years later, they're on a vacation somewhere, and a telegram arrived, and it said, "Dear sis, Grandma's on the roof." Let me tell you the moral of the story, because I'll tell you who's on a roof in your industry, and that's Sears Roebuck. Recently, Sears Roebuck has been discussing with Wall Street investors the future of their hardware stores. Sears feels that by the year 2000, they will have 500 hardware stores doing $5 million each, or $2.5 billion. Frankly, if I were a hardware dealer, I would be watching Sears rebirth as much as any other segment of the business. They're serious, and they're going to expand that business. Now, within the ACE, you have the ACE 2000 program. But what do you do for the next 4 years to do that? Well, let me tell you, the next 4 years for the Home Depot, before I get to ACE, let me talk about the next 4 years for the Home Depot. And to put this in the proper perspective, let's go back 17 years to the beginning of the Home Depot and how our business has grown from those 4 Atlanta stores to 444 as we stand here today. We ended the year in 1995 with 423 stores. In the next 4 years, our store count, sales and employee head count will equal what it took 17 years to achieve. Are we bullish on the future of the Home Depot and your industry? You bet. We're all coming off a soft year. 1995 was the only the third slowdown in over 20 years for our industry. And you know the causes. The weather was horrible. Overall economy was not great. Lumber prices were up. Housing turns were not doing well. And despite a tough year, Home Depot sales increased 24% for fiscal 1995. Why? Loyal customers and motivated associates, enabling us to open more stores. Last year, we entered only 9 new markets. This year, we're slated for 17. In 1995, we opened 83 stores. In 1996, we expect to open 90 to 95. With the market share you saw earlier and the economic conditions we see going forward, the brightest times are before us. The positive trends are unmistakable. Let's look at some statistics recently released from a variety of sources. Each bodes well for our industry. Home ownership is rebounding. Buying a home is considerably cheaper, as noted in the affordability index. These conditions are fueled by low interest rates and slow price appreciation on homes. We're also seeing the number of households increasing by 13 million through 1990. And finally, with immigration levels increasing at a record pace, we are and will continue to see new groups who are avid do-it-yourselfers. New immigrants have not only a strong orientation to saving and to family, but they also have a commitment to achieving home ownership. Also, we continue to see home ownership rates among the elderly at extreme high level. You couple these factors with baby boomers who are aging and who are trading up to larger homes, and you see the trends are in the right directions. All good signs for ACE and the Home Depot. So again, our challenge as an industry is to reach each of these publics, the baby boomers, the immigrants, the older homeowners, and demonstrate to them that the wise thing to do is fix up their most important investment, their home, rather than buying a new car or cruising off to the Orient. And that goes for you as well, okay? The business data you've just seen indicates that the future for the home improvement DIY industry is outstanding. Who will excel in the marketplace of the future? It's companies like ACE and the Home Depot, and here's another reason why. This summer, the City of Atlanta is hosting the Olympics, and Home Depot is proud to be among the sponsoring companies. During the Olympics, we will be running commercials that capture, we feel, the essence of the game. It's a salute to the coaches, our associates who coach customers on home improvement purchases and projects are the ones who will help bring home the gold, the silver, and the bronze medals in business. Increased sales, market share, and profit margin. Let's see a commercial.
They lead. They encourage. They challenge. They teach. They listen. They push. They inspire. And finally, when the time is right, they watch. As America's home improvement coaches, the people of the Home Depot believe in building dreams. Just just like the coaches of the athletes of the 1996 Olympic Games.
This is going to be one of the greatest Olympics. This is going to be one of the greatest Olympics of all time. And I would tell you, there's a lot of questions and a lot of newspapers, and you read the articles, and you know, newspapers are notorious. They only look for bad news. They don't look for good news. I will tell you that the city of Atlanta is ready for it. It's going to be tough. Traffic will be difficult, but all the venues are going to be done. And this is going to be one of the great highlights in America. Starting in July, you're going to be proud to be an American because of what you're going to see. It's an American city showing off, and a city that we're very proud of in Atlanta, okay? And when you think about it, isn't it ironic that Ace has as its corporate spokesman? I understand he's speaking here tomorrow, and that's football coach John Madden. How similar our philosophies really are. I mean, we're talking about coaches, and you know, as business people, we have more in common than you might realize. You're store-driven entrepreneurs. We are too. You have an aversion to working in corporate America. So do we. My greatest internal struggle is to make certain that the Home Depot does not become bureaucratic and always remains responsive to our stores and to our customers. To that end, when most companies reach the size of the Home Depot, they have a central office and they call it their corporate headquarters. Ours is not a corporate headquarters, but rather the Atlanta Store Support Center. That's what we call it, the Atlanta Store Support Center. And the only reason we exist, we know it, is to support our stores and to support our customers. That's where our sales are made. That's where our money is made. You have a knowledge of and a love of merchandising, and so do we. You have a desire to interact on a daily basis with customers and employees, and so do I. We both recognize that our employees make us successful, and all we have to do is support those efforts through whatever means it takes. Every business day, you have an opportunity to walk your stores and talk with your customers. Both Arthur and I find the greatest joy is putting on the Home Depot orange apron and talking with our customers. After I leave you today, that's where I'm going, into the store. I'm going to walk 2 stores today, and I can't wait. That's a lot more fun than doing what I'm doing now. I don't mean to insult you. This is fun. I'm going to talk about this for years to come. We try to do this as frequently as possible, that is walking the store, but it's never enough. And frankly, I envy you and your ability to interact daily with the most important people in retailing. And you know, a little advice to you now. Some of you own multiple stores. You own more than one. Don't become giants of industry. Don't start going back to offices. You have to remember where your bread is buttered, and the bread and butter is buttered on the floor of the store, and that's where you have to spend most of your time. If you don't, you're nuts. Okay? To me, the most important business, the most important distance in retailing is not how far it is from competitor to competitor, but rather how far it is from the nose of the sales associate to the nose of the customer. These 18 or so inches are the most important distance in retailing. You've got to be in touch with the customer to be successful. The Home Depot will continue to succeed and prosper as long as we remain focused on what is important, and that's our customers. And the same holds true for Ace. There will always be a need for good, well-run local hardware stores, ones that know their niche and exploit it. Let me talk to you about the third miracle, and that's the City of Hope. And let me close with the third miracle that I want to talk about this morning, and that's the City of Hope. It's an organization that found its niche and is serving its customers in the most meaningful way. On August 13th, David Hodnick will deservedly receive the City of Hope Spirit of Life Award. This is presented annually to an outstanding volunteer who's made a commitment to helping those in need. It is fitting that Dave received this award. ACE has done much in the communities you serve and for the industry in which we're involved. ACE has a tradition of giving. Our industry has a tradition of looking beyond ourselves to those in greater need. For more than a decade, the hardware home improvement industry has been a major force in supporting the research and treatment programs at the City of Hope. To date, Our industry's contributions have exceeded $44 million, making us the City of Hope's premier industry support group. Here is yet another demonstration of how our industry can work together for the betterment of society. As you may know, the City of Hope is renowned worldwide as one of the leading institutions in research and treatment of cancer. Its staff has created treatment and programs for more than 200 forms of cancer, including leukemia, breast, prostate cancer, as well as diabetes and other life-threatening illnesses. At the City of Hope, research also continues toward unlocking the secrets of Alzheimer's disease, which we all need desperately, and many other genetic and hereditary disorders. The miracles being realized at City of Hope today were built on a strong foundation of research, treatment, patient-centered care, and generous donors. Let's take a quick look at the City of Hope and its good works.
We're all here together as one world family we stand. City's help is everywhere, all across the land. The research keeps on going, with spirit to find that cure. All the doctors and the staff, getting things done for sure. The industries are partners, no time to ever rest. Together we're making things happen. There's no question who's the best. The future is now. We're finding the cures for tomorrow. The future is now. It's only begun with no time to borrow. Working together, getting it done. It's in our hands, we are the one. The future is now at the City of Hope. The future is now.
You know, in ways we probably don't realize, all of us are touched either personally or through our extended families of the good work being done at City of Hope. I was on that board many years ago, just as a side, the day that a doctor from Germany who worked at the City of Hope came to us and wanted to do research in something called bone marrow transplant. And I remember that we raised $1 million for that research and really began the process of bone marrow transplant in the United States, in fact, all over the world, because you see, diseases have no boundaries, do they? It's not a question of whether you're Ace or Home Depot or Sears Roebuck or Gap or anybody else. Disease comes and hits everybody. And over the years, within our industry, we come together from different climates, different cities, and different walks of life for one purpose, and that's to help the City of Hope continue its life-saving work. Within your ACE stores, you've long participated in the Children's Miracle Network fundraising activities. I would ask that this year you consider one more miracle by supporting those that are being performed at City of Hope. If you have not already made plans to attend this year's dinner, I would ask that you consider doing so. The monies raised for the incredible good works at the City of Hope are fabulous. And this year, we're honoring one of your own, David Hodnick. David. I began today by talking about entrepreneurs, my partner Arthur Blank and myself, who had a vision of a new kind of store. We acted upon it, and I think that we revolutionized the industry. And I will tell you that Home Depot is dedicated to the entrepreneurial spirit. We will not change. It is not clear what Home Depot will be like tomorrow, but we will change with our customers. We'll fight to expand the market and then grow the market share within it. We'll develop win-win programs for our customers, our associates, our vendors, and our investors. We welcome the competitive struggle. It is free enterprise at its best. It's what America is all about. As you walk into my partner Arthur's office, there's a poster outside his door which tells the story of the lion and a gazelle. Let's look at Arthur's poster. And here's what it reads. Every morning in Africa, a gazelle wakes up. It knows it must run faster than the fastest lion or it will be killed. Every morning in Africa, a lion wakes up. It knows it must outrun the slowest gazelle or it will starve to death. It doesn't matter whether you're a lion or a gazelle. When the sun comes up, you better be running. Each day presents a set of unique challenges and opportunities for all of us. At the Home Depot, we're very confident about the future of not only our company, but the entire industry. We wake up early and hungry every business day. I'll bet you do the same. We're ready for challenge. Are you focused on the changing customer? Are you investing in the future? Are you involved in the political process to promote free enterprise? And don't you forget that free enterprise and the entrepreneurial spirit has made this country what it is today. We've got some folks in Washington that have never had to make a payroll, that don't understand what it is to have overhead. And these folks are the folks that are passing laws telling you what you should be doing in your business. I think it's ridiculous and moronic. What we have to do, we the entrepreneurs of America, we've got to start standing up. There's a political process here that you have to be part of. And if you stand on the sidelines, you are crazy, because your future is in the hands of people that don't quite understand what makes America great. And I tell you something, it's one of the things that I get exercised about. Politicians telling me how to run a business. They recently had, within the last week, a meeting in Washington, D.C., where the politicians were telling people like ourselves what we have to do to create a better America. Our company has gone from 0 employees to 85,000, going to 185,000 in the 4 years coming up. We never used a politician's advice, and we never will. Okay, let me get off of that one because I could be here for an hour. Okay? The other thing, are you involved with helping others in your community? And that, my friends, is how you hit the ground running. Like the gazelle and the lion, when the sun comes up, will you be running? What about you? I want to thank you for your time and interest this morning. It's been a pleasure to be in the company of fellow retailers who share a common goal of serving our customers and our communities and our families. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Wow. Well, thank you, Bernie Marcus. That was fantastic. A great message, one that I think hits home for all of us. It was interesting to me to see how clear and how consistent it was with the message that we talk to all of you from time to time at shows like this. It takes entrepreneurial spirit. It takes a customer focus. I just think it's great, the idea of 18 inches between yourself and the customer is the most important distance within your retail floor that you ought to be paying attention to. Customer focus, change, always raising the bar and exceeding the expectations of those customers. Those are the kind of things that we all need to do, and I think we do a great job in. It's also nice to see that once in a while you get a little luck like that golden horseshoe, and we all deserve that from time to time, and hopefully we're going to get it. We have succeeded. Ace Home Depot has succeeded for many years based on those principles. I think that if we continue to focus on that, if we take the ACE 2000 plan, the New Age of ACE strategy, and go out there and do what what we believe is right and what will continue to attract and retain and grow the customer base that we've come to know, that we are going to not only be successful, but instead of having that piece of the pie chart declining slightly over the next 5 or 10 years like it has over the last 10, maybe we should be able to increase our market share as Ace Hardware dealers at retail, and I think we're all up to the challenge. So have a great day, fantastic show. The show floor is now open, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.